Hello dear students, welcome to this online session. How are you? I hope you are doing well by the grace of Almighty. You know the current situation and it's being worse day by day. In this moment, we should take care of ourselves as well as our family members. We don't know how long will the coronavirus outbreak and shutdown last. So I suggest you all to be very attentive and sincere in your studies. Dear students, we the teachers are providing some online lessons for the betterment of the students. These classes will not be effective as it is supposed to be if you don't take these classes seriously. To make the online classes successful, you must have some utensils while you are watching the videos. They are pen and exercise copy. You are suggested to prepare class notes, and you are already informed that your SBA marks will be given on your performance. Comment while watching the videos and prepare some class notes and submit it to your subject teachers. Your comment will be counted as your attendance. Dear students, let's get started. In this lesson, we are going to talk about passage narration. You will find this type of narration in your board exam. In my previous lessons, I talked about the basic rules of changing the speech from direct to indirect. In this lesson, I will focus on some techniques that will help you to change the passage from direct to indirect. Rule number 1 is identify the speaker and the listener from the passage. Place reporting verb before the reported speech in indirect speech. So firstly, you have to read the passage very carefully. And after that, you have to identify the speaker and the listener. Here you have an example. He said, "You are lazy." Let's change this sentence from direct to indirect. He said that he was lazy. Let's look out what changes took place in this sentence. At first, we removed the inverted comma and we have written that here. We changed the person of the reported speech according to the subject of the reporting verb. So you changed to he here. The tense of the reported speech was present indefinite tense, and we changed this tense to past indefinite tense. In example number 2, we have I opened the door, he said, and saw him at once. Here we have the speaker at the end of this sentence. So we have to write down the speaker and the reporting verb first when we are changing the sentence from direct to indirect. He said that he had opened the door and had seen him at once. So here we have two sentences. We changed the person of the reported speech according to the subject of the reporting verb. So I changed to he here. And the tense of the reported speech is past indefinite tense here. And you know past indefinite tense backshift to past perfect tense. And these both sentences are in past indefinite tense. So the both sentences backshifted to past perfect tense. In example number 3, we have I visited the place several times, he said. So here we have the speaker and the reporting verb at the end of this sentence. So to make it indirect, we have to write down the subject or the speaker and the reporting verb at the very beginning of the sentence. He said that he had visited the place several times. So we change the person I to he according to the subject of the reporting verb. And this tense of the reported speech backshifted to past perfect tense. Let's move to rule number 2. Rule number 2 is use linking words to join the speech if the same speaker has more than one speech back to back. You can use in assertive sentence said that, again said that, added that, further added that, moreover added that, again added that. In interrogative sentence you can use asked, if, and WH word, further asked if or whether and then WH word, moreover asked if or whether after that WH word, and then again asked if or whether after that WH word. Rule number 3, emphasize in changing pronouns. So we must change the pronouns while we are changing the speech from direct to indirect. Here we have a passage, you see. You have to read this passage very carefully. I never drink anything for luncheon, she said. Neither do I answered promptly. Except white wine, she proceeded as though I had not spoken. These French white wines are so light, they are wonderful for digestion. So, the first thing to do is we have to identify the speaker and the listener. She is the speaker here and I is the listener here. So, let's change this passage to indirect speech. So, here you see, I said that. So here the first sentence, I never drink anything for luncheon. So this I will be changed according to she here. At first we have to write down, she said that she never drank anything for luncheon. We change this I according to she, and this reported speech is in present indefinite tense. So we all know that present indefinite tense backshift to past indefinite tense here. And you see in the second sentence, neither do I answered promptly. So we will write down this one, I answered promptly. And after that you see, neither do I. So we will write down, I did not used to drink anything for luncheon too. So here you have the reported speech in present indefinite tense. So this present indefinite tense backshift to past indefinite tense. And after that, you see here, she proceeded as though I had not spoken. So we will write down here, she proceeded as though I had not spoken and said that. What she said? Except white wine. These French white wines are so light. Okay, let's write down. She only drank French white wines because they were very light and wonderful for digestion. So let's move to the next rule. Rule number 4 is use the vocative case as an object instead of using phrase. That means instead of using addressing him as his friend or addressing him by the name of. So if there is any vocative case in the direct speech, then use those vocative case as object. You see, Lisa, hello Ifa, how are you? Ifa, I am fine, and you? Lisa, I'm fine too. But what are you doing, friend? Ifa, I'm watering my plants. You see, this Ifa is vocative case here. Let's change this sentence to indirect speech. So instead of writing this, addressing her as Ifa, we should not write down this. We will write down Lisa greeted. That means we use this Ifa here as an object. And after that, she asked, "How are you?" Lisa greeted Ifa and asked her how she was. So you see, while changing a question from direct to indirect, we have to change the word order here. Ifa replied that, what she replied? She was fine and wanted to know about Lisa. Lisa said that she was fine too and asked Ifa, her friend, you see, her friend, asked Ifa, her friend, what she was doing. Then Ifa replied that she was watering her plants. So you see, this I'm watering my plants. You know that present indefinite tense always backshift to past indefinite tense. Rule 5 is use addressed as or addressing as in indirect speech if someone is addressed in reported speech. For example, are you alright, gentlemen? So here the gentleman is a type of address. So here you have to say the officer addressed them as gentlemen and asked them if they were alright. Or you can say, addressing them as gentlemen, the officer asked them if they were alright. So exception is use respectfully instead of addressing as sir or madam if someone is addressed as sir or ma'am. So if someone is addressed as sir or ma'am in a statement or in a passage, then we have to use respectfully instead of writing addressing as sir or addressing as madam. You see here, the teacher said the principal, "Madam, I need leave for a day." We have to write down, the teacher respectfully said to the principal that he needed leave for a day. Rule number 6 is use replied in the affirmative or replied in the negative in the indirect speech if you have yes or no in the direct speech. You see, have you done your homework? Student, no teacher, I beg pardon for that. The teacher, I see. Then, have you memorized the poem? Student, yes, I have. So let's convert this sentence to indirect speech. The teacher asked the student, have you done your homework? This is a yes no question. So we have to write down if or whether here. Okay, you see, if he had done his homework. The student replied that he had not done it. Or the student replied in the negative. You see, no teacher. So you can write down the student replied that he had not done it. Or you can write that the student replied in the negative. You see, I beg pardon for that. She begged his pardon. The teacher further asked him if he had memorized the poem. The student replied that he had memorized it. You can write down. He replied in affirmative. Rule number 7 is when a sentence starts with by Allah, by God, by my life, etc., use swearing by Allah, God, or swearing by my life to convert into indirect. Say, by Allah, replied the porter, I will not leave this house without my companions. So let's convert this sentence. Swearing by Allah, the porter replied that he would not leave that house without his companions. Okay. Rule number 8 is participle phrase of direct speech is used at the beginning of indirect speech. So if you have any participle phrase in your indirect passage while converting this passage into indirect, then you have to write down the participle phrase at the very beginning of the sentence. For example, are you brothers? Asked the mistress of the house, turning to the dervishes. So here turning to the dervishes is a participle phrase. So let's convert this sentence. Turning to the dervishes. So we have written the participle phrase at the very beginning of the indirect speech. Turning to the dervishes, the mistress of the house asked if they were brothers. Rule number 9 is if there is thank you in reported speech, use this structure to make indirect. Subject of reporting verb plus thanked plus object of reporting verb. For example, he said to me, thank you. He thanked me. That's it. Rule number 10 is if you have goodbye or good night in reported speech, use this structure for indirect form. At first write down the subject, then write down bed, object, and goodbye. My friend said to me goodbye. My friend bade me goodbye. The boy said to me good night. The boy bade me good night. Rule number 11 is good morning or good afternoon or good evening. If you have good morning, good afternoon or good evening in your sentence, then you have to follow this structure. Subject, wished, good morning or good afternoon or good evening. You see, he said to me, good morning. He wished me good morning. So good night is the exception here. You can say he bade me good night. Okay. Rule 12 is being surprised plus interrogative rule. You see the example here. You, but you are small, she said to Jerry. So here you, after you, we have a question mark. Actually, this question mark expresses wonder of the speaker. So when we have this type of case in our sentence, while making this type of sentence indirect, then we have to write down being surprised at the very beginning of the indirect speech. For example, you see, being surprised, she asked Jerry if it was he and said that he was small. Rule 13 is about phrase. If we have a phrase in the indirect speech, then we have to complete the sentence according to the speech of the speaker. For example, the writer said to Jerry, 10 cents an hour? Anything is alright. So here, 10 cents an hour is a phrase. Dear students, you know what is a phrase. A phrase is a small part of a sentence which has no subject and no finite verb. So, let's convert this sentence into indirect one. The writer asked Jerry if 10 cents an hour would do. He replied that anything was alright. So we made this phrase a sentence. So you see, the writer said to Jerry 10 cents an hour, and we have written that the writer asked Jerry if 10 cents an hour would do. Right. So move to the next rule. Rule 14 is emphasize on the relevant meaning of the passage. Curtail the irrelevant words while converting from direct to indirect. You see? Write the passage as a summary instead of writing as a dialogue. So let's try to convert this passage. What do you want? She asked. Alfred answered, I only want to come in. I am very tired. Please let me come inside. Afterwards, I will go away. At first, what do you want? She asked. Alright, let's write down the speaker first. She asked, whom? Alfred. So, what do you want? This is not a yes-no question. So, we can write down the question word here. You see? What he wanted. And this is a statement now. This is not a question anymore. So, she asked Alfred what he wanted. So, here the reported speech is in present indefinite tense. So we backshifted this to past indefinite tense. And the next sentence is Alfred answered, I only want to come in. I am very tired. Please let me come inside. Afterwards, I will go away. Okay, let's start the sentence like this. Alfred told her that I only want to come in. So this statement is in present indefinite tense. So let's convert this into past indefinite tense. He wanted to go in only because he was very tired. And after that, he requested her what? To let or to allow him to go inside. And you see, he also assured her that he would go away soon or leave the place afterwards. Right. So here we have practice number 1. So let's see what we have in the passage. The guest said, please give me a glass of water. I have worked 10 minutes at stress. My throat has been completely dry, I said. Take some rest and then you can drink water. Let's convert this sentence into indirect one. The guest said, please give me a glass of water. So this is a sentence that means imperative sentence. So we can say the guest requested me to kindly or to give him a glass of water. And also he said that what? I have walked 10 minutes at stretch. So you can see that we have the statement in present perfect tense. So we know that present perfect tense backshift to past perfect tense. So we will write down he had walked 10 miles at a stretch. And after that, my throat has been completely dry, I said. And further added that his throat had been completely dry. I advised him to take some rest and then he could drink water. So take some rest and then you can drink water. So this is a kind of advice. So we can say that I advised him to take some rest and then he could drink water. Here we have practice number 2. You see, a hawker said to me, do you want any newspaper? I have all types of news magazines. Please take one. The customer said, I want a weekly magazine. So let's convert this sentence to indirect one. A hawker asked me, you see, a hawker said to me, a hawker asked me, do you want any newspaper? We can answer this question by yes or no. So we will write down if or whether here. Then this statement is in present indefinite tense. So we will backshift this into past indefinite tense. I wanted any newspaper. You see, I have all types of news magazines. So we can say and say that. Alright? What? I have all types of magazines. So this is in present indefinite tense. Let's backshift this into past indefinite tense. He had all types of magazines. You see? Please take one. And this is an imperative sentence. So we can say and requested to take one. You see, I want a weekly magazine. So I said that I wanted a weekly magazine. Here, this I wanted a weekly magazine is in present indefinite tense. So this will backshift to past indefinite tense. I wanted a weekly magazine. Right. Let's move to practice number 3. Where do you like to go, sir? Asked the ticket seller. Coxbazar, replied the stranger. How many tickets do you need? I will buy 5 tickets. Take these tickets. They will cost 3,000 taka, said the ticket seller. Let's convert this sentence into indirect one. You see, where do you like to go? This is a question. So ask the ticket seller. Whom he asked? He asked the stranger. So we have sir here. We will write down respectfully or gently or politely when we have sir in our statement. So the ticket seller politely, gently or respectfully asked the stranger what he asked. Where do you like to go, sir? So we will say that where he like to go. So Cox's Bazar replied the stranger. The ticket seller again asked him how many tickets he needed. Then he replied that he would buy 5 tickets. You see, I will buy 5 tickets. Then take these tickets. So they will cost 3,000 taka, said the ticket seller. So we will write down that the ticket seller asked or told him to take those tickets, and the ticket seller or he informed him that they would cost 3,000 taka. Alright. So here you have home task. So you have to do it by yourself. Dear student, you see, task 1 is why are you loitering here and there now? So do it by yourself. And also here you have task 2. Follow my example. She said as we shook hands. And never eat. So this will be eat more than one thing for luncheon. So dear boys, do it by yourself. And this is task 3. Whose picture is it? I asked. Alright. So you have to try to convert from direct to indirect. So if you have any confusion or any problem, you can ask me. Alright dear boys, that's all for today. In our next class, we will discuss about CV writing. Alright, take care dear students. Thanks to you all. Stay home, stay safe.